Theresa May says she wants a country that works for everyone, that's on the side of ordinary working people.
It means never writing off people who can work and consigning them to a life on benefits, but giving them the chance to go out and earn a living and to enjoy the dignity that comes from a job well done.
But now some in her party are worried that low earners will be hit by changes to universal credit, a benefit system originally set up to encourage more people into work.
We also need to focus tax credits and universal credit on those on lower incomes.
Concern is centred on the government's decision in the July 2015 budget to find £3 billion worth of savings from the Universal Credit Bill. Conservative MP Heidi Allen is working on a campaign to get MPs in her party to urge the Prime Minister to think again.
I want her to understand for herself what the outcomes might be if we press ahead with universal credit with these work allowances in it.
Do you think Theresa May right now understands what you understand?
To be fair, unless you really get into the detail, and I have through my work on the Work and Pension Select Committee, I don't think anybody does. And I suspect perhaps...
Including the Prime Minister?
Possibly, yes.
Independent economic analysts at the IFS agree with Heidi Allen that cuts to universal credit weaken incentives to work.
One of the key parts of the universal credit system is the work allowance. That's how much you can earn before your credit starts to be withdrawn. And as the government has sought to save money, both under the coalition and now the current Conservative government, that work allowance has been cut time and time again. And the biggest cuts happened in the summer budget in 2015. And that basically reduces the amount of earnings you get to keep when you move into work, and so weakens the incentive people have to move into work.
What do changes to the universal credit system mean? The Resolution Foundation think tank has crunched the numbers. And if you compare what would have happened before the July 2015 summer budget to what will happen by 2020, and even if you take into account gains in the national living wage and income tax cuts, recipients will be hit by annual deductions. Couples and parents would receive on average £1,000 less. A dual earning couple with 2 children under 4, with one partner working full-time on £10.50 an hour, the other working part-time around 20 hours a week on the minimum wage, they would receive £1,800 less. But hit most by the changes would be a single parent with a child under 4 working full-time on the minimum wage. They would receive £3,600 less. So what do campaigners want to see?
I think, if I'm honest, it's unrealistic given the economic climate to expect everything to be reversed. I think that's too ambitious. What I would like to see is an increase in the work allowances to those people who will be hardest hit. That's single parents and second earners hoping to return to work, because they're the people we need to absolutely make sure stay in work.
The Sunday Politics understands that about 15 to 20 Conservative MPs are pushing for changes ahead of the autumn statement. A former cabinet minister told us that they believed further impact analysis should be done to find out if any mitigation measures are needed to help the worst off. And former Work and Pensions Secretary Ian Duncan-Smith, an architect of the system, now says the cuts should be reversed. But his former department has told us it has no plans to revisit the work allowance changes announced in the budget last year.
Well, I would say to Heidi Allen and IDS, they got it right the first time, and they should stick to the vote they cast last year, because these reforms actually do make sense. What interests me is the fact we're trying to move people off welfare into work. We're raising the wages people earn by massively increasing the minimum wage, and this is working already. People are coming off welfare and into work.
But campaigners are pushing for savings to come from other areas to relieve the pressure on universal credit.
Well, the other thing that we have to start looking at is the triple lock on pensions. Financially, I mean, it's been a great policy, and it was absolutely right that we lifted pensioners who were significantly behind for many, many years in terms of income levels. But they've overtaken and overshot now. And I think it's time for us to look at that policy again, because that is costing us an awful lot of money.
With just over 3 weeks to wait until the Conservative leadership's new economic plan is unveiled in the autumn statement, its top team is under pressure from within its own ranks to use it to ensure work really does pay.